Welcome to Journey Through the Innerverse. I am excited to be here, as I'm sure you are too, Alexis. How are you doing tonight?
Oh my gosh. I am so excited. I am
Oh.
so excited for a variety of different reasons. I can't contain myself. Um, of course, this chat, but one of my favorite shows released their last season trailer today. And
Oh,
this show, like they keep everything on the DL, like they keep everything secret. We have been getting minimal clues up until like the last couple weeks, and they finally dropped the freaking trailer, and I am
wait, remind
so
me of the show because I
excited.
feel like I know you talked to me about it before, but
It's called Good Omens. It's on
okay, yeah,
Amazon
yeah.
Prime, and it is, oh God, it
So
is.
for them to like feed you little bit by little bit, is that kind of the vibe of the show too? Is it kind of like mysterious type
It
show
it
or
has mystery, and it definitely
yeah?
has mystery. It is the blending of, I would say it's the blending of extremes. It
Oh,
is like, taking life's purpose from black and white to grayscale
mm,
in
oh,
a very, I guess, biblical way.
wow. And you said
But
this
it
is the last season. So how many seasons has it been?
so they're coming out with season 3 on May 13th, and so 3 seasons.
Oh, okay,
Um
cool. So it's nice and short if you want to like watch it straight on through.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean it's only 6 episodes per season, and then
oh,
the last season is going to be a just a movie. Like it's going to be an hour and a half movie.
oh,
So you don't even have to watch a full season for season 3, which I'm disappointed by.
right, yeah.
However, it
Sure.
was almost canceled, so I'm grateful.
Yeah.
And
You're
now
like,
I am
thank you.
so excited. So
Nice.
excited.
So, oh yeah, it's not out yet. I'm like, oh, so you're watching that tonight, but it's not. So when does it
No.
come on? Like, when is it available to watch?
It'll drop on the 13th of May.
Oh, okay, that's not too bad. Because I
No.
hate when they do that. They're like, oh, here's the trailer, and then it's like 6 months from now, and it's like, really, dude? Like,
Okay,
just don't tell
well,
me.
if I have to be honest, season 2 ended 3 years ago on a cliffhanger that was canceled and was brought
Oh
back.
no. Oh, I'm sorry. That's the worst. Well, I'm
I
really
mean,
I'm really happy that you're gonna have that closure here in a couple
so
weeks.
good. It's so good. If you guys haven't read the book or watched the show, I highly recommend it. It is 10 out of 10. I love it. I mean, love it, love it, love it. Anyway, I'll like put my hyperfixation on the
Yeah.
shelf for
No,
now.
it's awesome. It's something to look forward to for sure.
How are you?
I'm doing well. I have been just I've just been in flow. Like there was a bunch of stuff that I was supposed to do as always. And you know how I am about like I love checking stuff off the to-do list.
Yeah.
But I just like haven't been like the inner desires there, but I'm also honoring my feelings, like my true rhythm. Like I just since the sun has been out here in Syracuse, which is rare, but it's like we're changing. We're already in spring, right? So we're starting to see like spring, and it's been like warm in the morning. It's been sunny. Like actually this morning we had a thunderstorm like right when I was taking my daughter to school. And then by the time like I was able to get my coffee and eat my breakfast, so like about an hour later after dropping her off, the sun was out and like it was like warm enough that it like every like it wasn't wet. Like the chairs and everything were like dry. So I was able to sit outside and have my coffee and journal. And I was like, yeah, I should
Ooh.
be at my computer right now doing stuff. But if I can't get it done on my phone, it's just not like I'm not bringing my computer outside. So it's just like one of those few days where I've just been really like, if I get to it, I get to it. If I don't,
Yeah.
I don't. And it's really
In
nice.
flow,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
healthy and nice, especially with the warmer weather and the sun. Like, we need the vitamin
Yeah.
D, and like sitting outside, journaling, and drinking coffee sounds like a freaking dream.
Especially like getting it in now before it gets too hot, because you know how like it gets disgusting like
Immediately
in the like
buggy and
peak of
humid.
summer. So I'm like I'm getting like the because there was the cool breeze and everything, so it was really nice. So that put me in a really nice place today and tonight. So yeah, I am excited to share also that or this isn't the announcements. Alexis is like, wait, what? What are you about to drop?
Like, all right, we're just gonna jump in.
Right. We're just gonna jump right into the announcement since this whole chat is, an energy check-in. We're going to, check in with how our dream space has been over the past lunar cycle and also just the energy coming forth. So we are recording that, or we're live right now on April 15th. So the new moon is on the 17th. So when this drops on Spotify, and we are now on Apple Podcasts. Finally, it was so easy. Just I don't know why it took so long, but we're there too. So if you prefer listening on Apple, you can definitely take advantage of that now. And so the episodes will be available on Friday, just like on Spotify. And that is the day of the new moon. So happy new moon if you're listening to this there. Um, so yeah, like my announcement is that I'm teaching a dream class on the 26th of April. It is the class Overcoming Nightmares and Anxious Dreams. And it's a class I've taught. I think this is my third time teaching it. I love teaching this class. If you're someone who has frequent nightmares or anxious dreams, we all definitely have anxious dreams. And I'm sure now there's a lot, like even in the collective field, like if you're tapping into the collective consciousness through your dreams, that energy of anxiety, fear, all of that, we're all working through it, like definitely in the astral, I would say. So if you are wanting to learn how to navigate those type of dreams, definitely check out my class. Again, it's April 26th, and the link to register. And if you want to find out any more information is in the description of this video.
Wonderful. I know that's going to be an amazing class. So, our next announcement is, of course, Dramigos. If you guys don't already know, Urania and I work as dream experts for a developing app called Dramigos. That's Dreamigos. And you can find that on the Apple App Store, the Google Play Store. It's a wonderful app where you can save your dreams in a variety of different ways. And you can keep them private, or you can choose to upload them to the Dreamline, where you have access towards getting dream interpretation and guidance from dream experts like Urania and I. We do have a monthly dream circle and a monthly sofa chat where we have a group of people, you guys essentially, come and join us. And it's either led by one of the hosts or it's more casual, laid back, and we just talk about dreams. So if you haven't downloaded that today, I highly suggest it. And just so you know, our next sofa chat is the 28th of April. So we hope to see you there.
Yeah. And once we have the link to register, we'll drop that in the description of the video. And of course, we'll definitely have the link by next week so you can sign up for that. And it's completely free. So that's just amazing. Um, yeah, so let's get into the energy and just like this previous lunar cycle, or we're still pretty much in it, but we're also at the end of it. And so the new moon was in Pisces on March 17th, I believe. So even though we've been in Aries season, I feel honestly like I'm feeling that it's just starting to feel like Aries season. Um, but as far as the lunar cycle, it's been very Piscean, like it's initiated by Pisces, so we kind of see it as that setting the tone for the lunar cycle, and I've definitely felt that. How about you?
Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel like this lunar cycle was definitely extremely heavy on the Pisces, and I loved it, though I did experience quite a bit of weirdness coming through, which makes sense. But yeah, it was definitely a Pisces dream space, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, and I feel like after post the full moon, which was in Libra, I feel that my dream space has started to feel or reflect more of that Pisces nature. So
Yeah.
kind of like definitely a lot of like activity in my dreams, very vivid, Um, just a lot of like, I would say, especially like the past week and a half has been like a merging of the like my consciousness, if it makes sense. Like basically it's
Yeah,
like I'm aware. I guess you could say more lucid dreaming, but it's beyond that because it's like sometimes I'm not even like I would say lucid in the sense of like I feel like all the control is on me, even though that's not true in that kind of lucid dream. But I feel like I'm aware, but I'm not like fully like, oh, I have to like ground myself because I don't want the dream to collapse. Because that happens a lot when
right.
I do have lucid dreams. But this morning I had an experience where like I have recurring dreams with cars in them and also with restaurants. This one had a car and my car wouldn't start. And I remember in the dream, and this was like once I woke up, I remembered, but in the dream, I was interpreting that meaning. So it was like I was dream like it was like I was knew I was dreaming, but then in the dream I was already starting to interpret it. I was like, "Oh no, I don't want the car not to start because this will mean that, like my path like I'm pausing in the path or like it was just weird." And then I woke up and I thought about it and I was like, "Oh shoot, that's hilarious." I was literally interpreting the dream in the dream. So I've been having a lot of like weird dream experiences like that. And the dreams have just been so clear. They've been easy to remember. I've actually, this past week or the last time since we chatted, I've written down like 3 or 4 dreams. And in addition to like sharing some with you. And so it's been a very active dream space. And I don't know, I feel really, I mean, of course, I feel good about it, but it's just, I don't know, it's really interesting.
That is interesting. I love that so much. I've been there, I've done that before, where you're just so present in the dream state and you're so aware of what's going on that you're just like, you're taking in the environment and you're trying to understand it from like a perspective of someone who's awake and someone who understands what, like, that the experience has been sent there, like, for a reason and what it could be. So I love that. And I feel like you're like advancing in your
Yeah.
skill in the unconscious. Like it's so cool. I love that so much.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was just like, wow, that's interesting. But
Are
that's
you
not
gonna
the dream that I'm gonna share. Um, we can go ahead and start sharing dreams.
Yeah, if you'd like to. I was just gonna ask you, do you think you're gonna intentionally try to do that again?
I don't know, not intentionally, because I think it kind of confused me actually, like when I started to like even decipher that, I'm like, well, what does that mean? Like if I'm like
Right,
already, I don't know, it was, I don't know actually. Like I'm already confused thinking about it, but maybe with the fact that today has been such a pause and really like I said, the past couple days, like I'm just kind of going with
right,
the flow. Um, so I don't really know, but I'm not going to intentionally try to do that again. That's for sure.
right. So this is what's so exciting about dream work is like there's always something new to experience. Your brain is always doing
Yeah.
something interesting, or even with things outside of your brain doing something interesting, and you're observing, experiencing new things. You're lucid in a bajillion different ways, and it's what keeps us captivated and excited for the next thing. Could you imagine if we only had like the same dream every night,
Oh, that'd be so boring.
like
That
for
sounds
your
like
entire
torture.
life? It'd be so
Yeah.
boring.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I will say too, I've noticed, speaking of like anxious dreams, my like I'll have them still, but I'm not having the like physiological response when I wake up. So having the like heart palpitations, the anxiety, like the thoughts, like the fearful thoughts, like whatever is like rushing up at the time. Like I'm not experiencing that, thank goddess. And like the past like 2 weeks is kind of like the prime time for me to have that because it's been my luteal phase.
Yeah,
But even though like they were anxious, a lot of them were still very profoundly vivid and rich with symbols and just very like intriguing to me. Like even though they
right.
had a bit of anxiety, so I was still kind of excited about them. you know.
I agree with that. I though I didn't have a whole lot of anxiety in my dreamscape over the last cycle, I've had a weird combination of things where it's like I would say whimsical and also like an urgency to express how I feel. Like there were several dreams where I like people were peeing or I was peeing and like just like things I'm like why the fuck would I have this dream? And I'm like okay, yeah, I know why because there's things I have to talk about that I've
Mm,
been holding inside of myself and therefore it is calling me to
yeah,
expel what has been like pushed up in my brain and left to rot. So I definitely had the experience of kind of waking up to like, all right, my communication right now needs to expand and grow and get a little better because it's not working for me to keep everything inside. But then on the other hand, like I've been having these really whimsical dreams, like very energetic based, very like otherworldly, other dimension, other realms. And like, so the combination's just very weird, but also just very telling for Pisces, in my opinion.
yeah, I would agree for
Would
sure.
you like to share your dream?
Yeah, I'll go first. So, this was definitely my favorite dream of the month, or of the lunar cycle. Like I said, I've had like several, but this is the one that I like wrote it. Well, I typed it on my computer and went really deep with it. Okay, so of course I just scrolled past where I needed to start. Um, so in this dream, I was in a restaurant, and just for context, and I've said this, I feel like last week on the podcast, that the restaurant has been for the past like 2 months, like a recurring symbol. And I would say like the past 3 weeks has been like, I mean, I'm having several of them a week. And so and it's always related to generally to my work. So in the dream, I was in a restaurant and I was really good, and in the dream, I was really good at what I was doing, kind of like in waking life. Um, when I work in restaurants, I just excel at it at to the point now where it's quite boring and monotonous. Sorry, I was like speaking when I recorded this to text, so it's kind of weird. So I'll try to fix that. So let me just start over again. Sorry. So in the dream, I was in a restaurant and I was really good at what I was doing, but it was boring and monotonous, just like in waking life, which is why I don't really care to work in restaurants anymore. I was very prepared and I was taking orders, and we started to get really busy. And I took the initiative and took a table's order that wasn't in my section. And but I was ready to work, and I knew that I could take care of like all the people in my section and this table. So while I was working, there were other workers and I could see them, but it was like in virtual reality at this, or that, like, what is it, the first person perspective. Initially it was in third person, but now at this point it was in the first person, and I could see the other workers, but they all had their individual roller coaster rides. And it was kind of part of the restaurant. um and so we were watching everyone, and it looked pretty dangerous. I didn't have a roller coaster, or at least I wasn't watching. I was watching the other people. But there was this one woman, she had a roller coaster, and hers was crazy. So she started at the top, and then like this whole weird like adventure to the bottom, and then going back, she was going back to the top, but on the way up it wasn't like an actual roller coaster track. It was like a chain link fence. So I was watching it, and other people are watching it too. It could have been other workers, I'm not really sure, but we were just like, wow, that's very dangerous. Like, it's rickety. She was kind of shaking. We're like, oh my god, is she gonna make it? And so she got to the top, but as soon as she got back to the top, she was immediately arrested by the authority. And we were just like, oh my God, like, that's not good. We were kind of freaking out, like panicking. And I had ended up leaving like that scene basically, but it was still like an extension. And it was like I went to the bathroom, but then it was also like if you've ever worked in restaurants and like you wait a table or you're a host or anything, like you have like little kiosk like areas like with the computers, like several of them around the restaurant so you can put in the orders. I think now they actually have like, little devices like iPads or whatever that they can do at the table. But back in the day, basically that's what we did. And so I went to one of the computers, or there were a couple of them together, but it was kind of like a bathroom, and I'm sitting there at the computer and I'm like realizing that I don't have like the orders put in. And so I put a few in, but then there's this one table, which was the table that wasn't in my section, the extra one that I took. They were the very first order I took. So I was like, oh, shoot, I need to put their order in. Like I forgot about it. And I started putting it in, and there were, I think, like four people at the table, and only like I was missing one out of the four people, right? So I put in three out of the four, or was going to, and I was like, "Oh my God, what did this person order?" Um, and so I kind of started freaking out, but then also when I was at the computer, this kind of all happened at once. I had this like download that the woman that got arrested, she got arrested because they found out that she was helping people like on the very like the lower status people who were also like having the most struggle in life and most emotional pain. Like they arrested because she was giving them medicine, she was helping to like heal them and liberate them. But it was more so like she wasn't the healer, she was just giving them stuff to like help them do it themselves. And then they found out about it, and so as I'm thinking that, receiving that, and I'm at the computer, they are like, I'm freaking out. And so another worker came to me and she was like, "Oh, can I tell you about what happened?" And I was like, "I already know," like, and in the dream, and here's like another like bridging of realities or consciousness. Like at that moment, when I was like, "I already know," I also said, I don't know if I was talking to her or myself, and I was like, they're going to communicate with me initially through dreams, and because I'm not paying attention to my waking life, so they'll let me know through my dream space because that's where I am awake and paying attention. um and then she kind of left and I'm back at the computer screen and I hit like a wrong button, and the language of the like what's on the screen changes to like Spanish or some other language that looks like Spanish. So I start freaking out even more, and I'm like, "Oh my God, like what did I hit? Whatever, whatever." So then I like go back to like the main part of the restaurant, except it was my car. And I was looking like in my car for like a paper with the rest of the order. I was looking through my journals and I couldn't find it. And I also realized that all the other workers that were as good as me, like this is the way it would translate it, um, they had already gone. Like they finished everything that they need to do. And at this point, there was also this kind of like blur of it being like a test, like a school thing. And I was like, oh, they already finished their schoolwork or their test and they left. And generally, I'm one of those people. But like I felt like I'm like stuck because I can't, I don't have the order. And then someone else came and they were like, hey, let's go check. You need to see this, like check this out. And so we went to another part, but it's still like the same dream and technically seen, but now we're in a building that kind of looks like a mall, and we're looking through the windows and we see a few other people that were workers like on stretchers, like they are being taken to the hospital and stuff, like they've been injured by like the same kind of authorities as the impression. And then someone else, one of the other workers were like, if you're going to talk about anything, don't talk about it with this person like in this place. And then I'm pretty sure I woke up. So, isn't that crazy?
Wow. There's
I
a
didn't even
lot
need to read
in
it. It
that.
was still fresh in my memory like
That
that.
was that was a lot. Like I feel like there was a lot going on. How did
And
you feel about it?
when I woke up, I was like, holy shit. I felt like it was like a past life or something. Like I knew because the night before, I was talking to a friend and we were talking about, and this had to do with Aries season. I feel like like this week specifically, um, you know, we have Mars in Aries, Mercury in Aries, the moon is going to be in Aries if it's not already. Um, and but at the time it wasn't, but I was like, all of these, like basically Saturn and Neptune are going to get stimulated. And what just naturally came through, I was like, I feel like a boundary or a wall or just like whatever limitation, like a big limitation between you and your vision or your dream or something that you like your soul desires. Like I have a feeling that that's dissolving. Now it can happen in two from like two different extremes and obviously everything in between, but one extreme is like it's dissolving, you're gonna like achieve whatever this is, or you'll get like this is the first phase of it, but you're getting closer to that embodiment or that desire. But then on the other side, it can make everything confusing. It's like that Neptunian energy where you're just like, what's really real? And you kind of go a little bit like you might just go a little bit crazy because it's like, you know, the physical world, like what's going on. Um, but like in the conversation, I personally was leaning into like it dissolving and I'm achieving what, you know, something of my vision or whatever. And so I went to bed in that space and I did ask my guides for like clarity around that because I had already been receiving like really good dreams like that in restaurants pertaining to my work and everything. And so I really felt like they showed me a reason why whether it's like an actual past life or not, I feel like it was showing me um why I'm funny about visibility because it's like I do put myself out there and I actually do want to be seen and heard and like to have a little bit more of a reach and all of that with my work. But there's always feels like there's something blocking, like it's something deeper, like because I do want it. And so I felt like the dream was kind of showing me some sort of imprint. Like I don't know if I was that woman or not. Maybe I was, maybe I wasn't, but I see why it's like pointing me back to many timelines where people doing this kind of work had to like hide because they would get like hunted and killed or whatever. So it was kind of like affirming, but then I also felt like I was seeing that to clear it. Like now it's like affirmed and up to the surface. And so my next question for my guides is like, how do I take action on that?
Yeah, I absolutely can see that being coming through the dream like that. I mean, very strongly. And what came to me was this similar, but what came to me was warning almost.
Mm,
Like, these are the people's paths, and this is how they turned out. This is what happened because of choices they made, or, misdirection, or mistakes, or whatever it is. And it's like giving you
mm,
a handful of different people's paths and where they went wrong, and kind of for you to tread your path, not making the same mistakes as these other people, especially with the dream starting off with you being so confident and bringing these things in. And then the confidence that you had around this table that you overtook that wasn't even a part of your section, you had made a mistake on. There was something off about it. You forgot something, it was. So I feel like to an extent it felt a little bit like a warning as well of your
mm.
steps forward.
Especially because like when we were on here, like I resonate with that because when we were on here last week and we had Wormind on, I had mentioned about the restaurant dream and how I went from like being the worker to the tarot reader. But I
Yes.
did remember thinking like I was like, oh man, I'm the worker again. And I've been like again, I've been going through some stuff as far as like my work and everything and how I show up and all of that. So it's like there I feel like that resonates too as far as like it being a warning and it's like hey like you know maybe change up something that you were doing or you know like giving me a heads up of like where I'm going.
Right. Like, don't lose that confidence in
Yeah.
yourself and your work. You're doing an incredible job. You know what you're doing. You've done this for so long, but keep an eye out for these specific things so that you can move forward and excel and not, possibly falter like other people have. Because, I mean, we can compare and contrast in a way that's like, oh, I'm not as good as them as whatever. But there's also this aspect of like maybe the comparison should be more along the lines of like, where the success lies and not so much what we're supposed to be, kind of what we're supposed to be looking out for.
And like when you get to, and not saying like this always has to be the case, but when you get to a certain status of like popularity or what, like it's not always as glamorous or like exciting or what you think it will be, like wanting to do that. So it's also like checking my intention also of like, and just my ideas of success or visibility and so forth. So that resonates.
Absolutely.
I have to I'm gonna write that down because I don't think I like touched on that perspective, and that really resonates. Thank you.
Well, and I want to bring up something too. It's like this point in the dream where you were saying that, whoever is going to communicate through me through the dreams because
Mhm.
I'm not paying enough attention to the waking space.
Yeah.
Maybe even that was a cue for you in one way or the next, like to find more balance between your waking and your dream.
Which
So you
makes
can
sense
still
why I've like
receive,
slower today, like the
yeah.
past couple days, because I had that dream. I want to say it was Sunday morning. I woke up with that dream.
Well, and even thinking about like experiences you've had today and how that could apply
Yeah.
to being more present.
Well, then I also had like I came across a random, like, the pick a card readings on YouTube. It was an
Mhm.
oracle reading. And like, of course, they show you the cards that they're using on the thumbnail. It wasn't anyone I followed. It was just like in my recommended. And they had a deck, like an oracle deck I've been like considering getting. And so that drew me in and I was like, oh, I was like, who is this? Because I there's another reader that uses it that I had stopped following or a couple months ago. So I thought it was her, but it was someone else. Then I looked on the title and it said a message from your grandmother. And then when I listened to it, like I'm gonna get goosebumps now because that was part of the message was like, you're not paying attention. Like I'm sending messages, you're not paying attention, you're not getting them. And but the reading started out like, oh, like I'm really proud of you, you're really doing well. Also, you've gotten way further than I ever could. And like, so it was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to listen to it again. But I like literally started
Oh,
tearing up. But it makes sense because it's like this is pretty much technically the third time I'm hearing this from you, from the reading this morning, and from the dream, the dream the other like, a couple days ago. So, and
yeah.
I feel like I'm so aware. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm seeing everything. But there's certain like when it comes to my work or like certain areas of life, when you have such a hold on something where it's like, oh, it's not showing up in the way that I want, or like you're expecting a certain outcome, or you're just controlling it in some way, you miss the other little signs that, are affirming like your desire or whatever, you know what I mean? Or like the
Yeah.
guidance. So I'm probably going to set that intention for bed tonight.
I feel that 100%. And honestly, like that's actually something that I've been having a difficult time with is just like staying more present in the waking. And like I've noticed, and I do believe that it has to do more so with the collective unconscious and the collective consciousness, just like everything we're kind of all going through at the same time. I've been noticing a pattern where I will leave my body. I will absolutely dissociate and I have to like pull down my balloon string and
Oh,
recenter
that's
myself back into
amazing.
like my I have a hard time grounding in general. Like just in general, I'm a very airy person. Lately, I have been gone, gone, and it causes a sense of paralysis too,
Like
because
in waking life or in dreaming
in
or
waking life,
oh, okay.
in waking life,
Oh,
I would say in dreaming, I haven't been experiencing as much of that. I've been more present in my dream space, but my waking space, like I just have not been able to
hmm,
ground, and I literally can feel myself dissociating and leaving my body completely. And
mm,
like it because I understand the pattern, I'm able to pull myself down pretty quickly, but it
yeah.
creates this sense of paralysis of like all the emotion around what's going on and not really feeling like motivated to do much and then also being stuck. Like I feel similarly probably in a different way, but I feel similarly in regards to being seen. Like, I
Yeah.
want to put myself out there. I want to be seen, but there's an aspect of myself that feels very, one, I want to stay private. Like,
Yeah.
I want to be out there, but I want to stay private.
Well,
And
that's
it's
the Scorpio rising dilemma because we have Leo in the 10th house, but
mm-hmm.
Scorpio is naturally private and
Yeah,
like is cool in the dark and the like quiet places.
yeah,
But then it's like our soul is like, no, we're gonna take in a little bit of this like Leo energy. So you're always kind of feeling the pull of that Leo.
exactly. And then for there's this also this other aspect of just like trying to sell myself, and I feel a really weird icky sense of that like
Yeah.
energy. Like I feel like we've been sold, like people have been selling us things and trying to sell themselves, and everything's just been so marketable, and you have to do this, you have to do that, or people aren't gonna like, it's just, and it feels so inorganic for
Yeah.
me personally, that like every time I like, it's random when I post because it has to come naturally. Like I feel
Yeah.
like you have a natural state of flow where like you're like, I have information that I want to share. It's coming through and I'm going to share it now. And like I don't feel like I'm as in connection with, I have this information, let me share it. I usually am like, I have this information and now I'm moving on. And
Yeah.
it's kind of like I need to merge
Mhm.
the worlds in a way. I have to figure out how to authentically put myself out there without wanting to hide and not be seen,
Yeah.
but also not do it in a way where I feel like I have to sell myself. And it's just this weird back and forth that is very difficult to navigate.
Well, it's tricky too because you have all of those planets in the 12th house, including Mercury, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
And so, like, that 12th house is the house of retreat. It is like so inward, like nobody's business. And
Yeah.
then your planet there of communication, um, is like, yeah, it's in the 12th house. So it's like it naturally, and it isn't your your Mercury retrograde.
Yes.
Oh, geez. So, like, you're fighting an uphill battle.
I am. And you know, when I come on here with
Yeah.
you and I'm having these conversations and we're live and like we're our thoughts are flowing together and we're just it, you know, that's what feels good for sharing.
Yeah.
That's where like my, that's where I feel at home. But like when it comes to like advertising and putting myself out there in a way where I have to pull people in, that's where it just gets, it's a
Yeah.
struggle.
Your son's there too. And it's like I feel like what came through is just like leaning into like this dynamic, right? And just like the next thing and the next thing because you have been making connections, you've been doing readings like locally and you've been doing like the work that we have, the collaboration we have with Dream Migo. So it's happening and I think like that's been a major theme coming up this week is like expectations, like what are our expectations, right now with certain things in our life and like how do we think they should be versus like how, just being authentic basically, which is Aries energy. Aries is like in the moment, present, act now, think later. I'm just going to be me. I don't give a
Yeah.
fuck. And so
Yep.
it's like that's kind of what I feel like we're leaning into. And like when you were sharing about, everyone's like selling, 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 and I can start to see honestly like the transition of like, not necessarily the new reality, but just like the way things are shifting, like as far as like our consciousness and the boomers are dying out and like just seeing the younger generations. But what I'm getting is that like the old systems, like the old like the work that we do and just the way we show up and like what's important, like like more people are basically wanting to work for themselves, are wanting to just live and be them and just be able to like thrive and survive from their passion. Like a lot of people
Yeah.
are wanting to be, self-employed entrepreneurs because it's like when you're working, unless you're working for someone or a company that like really values their employees, most of these, organizations or companies and whatnot, they're like paying you as little as they can. Like, and people
Yeah.
are doing a lot more work for like little, like the energy exchange basically isn't fair. And so but we're seeing that as like we're taking the old approach of like the marketing, and it's like, but things are different. That's why it feels kind of icky, because it's like, well, I don't want to, I just want to be, and I want to make those connections and those
Yeah.
exchanges. So I see everything kind of breaking down, but it's still kind of in this weird transitional sticky place. So that makes sense.
Right, exactly. And I feel that shift. I really do. Like even I was watching a video today and somebody on YouTube was I don't remember her name, but she was talking about how like where being an influencer used to be something that was like interesting and exciting.
Yeah.
Now when you hear someone is called like when you hear someone is an influencer, it gives you the ick, and it's because that is this like washed out, like overly fake, like just trying to sell you crappy products from sponsorships, and there's the realness of the experience that you once felt connected to, like in that influencer, like why it was fun back then, has been stripped completely, and now it feels very robotic and it feels very like forced and everything's so inauthentic. And yeah, it's just kind of, I feel like we're crawling kind of back into finding ourselves and the humanness
Yeah. Because
of this experience.
people are chasing like the money basically, or
Yeah.
like, because it's like, attached to that are like our ideals, where it's like, oh, like I have the freedom, say, to make my own schedule or whatever. I am generally doing something that I love, and then other people are like paying me to like sponsor their products. So like that's why initially it was like cool, like you said, and interesting. But now when people like, oh, it is cool and interesting, and like I want to do the same thing, and then they try to copy that template, and
Mm-hmm.
that's where the inauthentic aspect comes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and so at the end of the day, and I feel like this is what Saturn and Neptune are going to help us realize, is that you got to be your own unique self. Like
Yes.
you just have to be you, because now our consciousness are expanding. Not everyone's gonna get up, catch on, but like people will know that you're being inauthentic. Like
Yeah.
people will like, and even if you gather, whatever visibility, like it's not gonna last long, because it's not your true self, and you're gonna burn out, and it's not
Right.
sustainable.
Well,
And
we're even seeing that. I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead. I don't even know. I was just gonna trail on. Um,
I was going to say it. We're even seeing that with like the beauty standards of people. And like, there's a lot of people where like now it feels like people aren't getting lip injections and fillers at such a quick rate. And a lot of people are getting them dissolved. And a lot of people are getting their boob jobs removed. And like, you know,
yeah,
their butt implants are getting removed. And like,
yeah,
we've reached, I feel like humanity consistently flies too close to the sun and those wax wings melt and you just drop to the ground. And
yeah,
like what's interesting though is that we're incredibly adaptable at the same time. So like we're seeing these up and down scales, these extremes, the pendulum's
yeah,
always swinging. Like you think you can go as far as like you as far as you want, and then you reach a point where you're like, oh no, we have definitely gone way too far. And
yeah,
like it's just that like, okay, how do we backtrack and get back to a point of balance before the pendulum swings the opposite way again or somewhere else? Like it's always it's always going to be like that. We're even seeing that with it, like the AI data centers are being denied, like being built and stuff like
yeah.
that, which is huge.
That happened here. There's like a really big one that's supposed to be built probably like 20-30 miles from here. And it was supposed to start, I think, this year. And now they pushed it all the way to like 2030, 2035. And I was like, yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if they cancel it
I
altogether.
don't, yeah, I don't think they will.
People in communities where these data places have been built, they're having such bad like there's such bad re- repercussions and issues like around the databases being built environmentally and whatnot, and people are protesting
Yeah,
to get it situated, and then it kind of goes around and people are like, well, if that's happening there, we don't want it to happen here.
yeah,
And so we're seeing things kind of get nipped in the butt, and I'm not mad.
yeah, I'm not mad about that.
I'm very happy about this.
Well, I know you have two dreams that you want to share. You want to get into it?
Yes. Okay. I'm going to share the first one. I'm going to share. I'm going to share the one that's kind of like nature spirit blast.
Okay.
So this dream that I had a week ago. I believe it was the full moon. I might have had this dream the night of the full moon.
Okay.
So I was visiting one of the local gem shops I'm acquainted with, but the shop was huge. It was like an auditorium, and it was cold in the building, and the void was surrounding me. So like it was just kind of like the tables set up, the stage, the curtains, and whatnot, and then the rest was just void. When I approached the owner, he told me that I had he had three large Herkimer diamonds available. They were about hand sized, and that he knew I needed one so I could have the first dibs of one of the stones. He said, whatever one I want, I could have. I spent some time observing each of them, which was really cool in the dream. So I don't know if you guys, oh, my Herkimer is upstairs. I don't know if you guys have ever seen a Herkimer diamond, but it's just this like beautiful, extremely clear, like diamond. I guess that's what it
I
is.
think
It's
it's
a
a type of
Herkimer
quartz.
diamond.
Yeah, I think it's type of quartz.
Yes,
But it looks like
exactly. But
it like it looks like diamonds.
it's so
Yeah,
brilliant and clear. It looks like a diamond. It has little specks in it, and it's beautiful.
they're gorgeous.
Um, and, and I had this in my dream tray for a while, and I brought it downstairs, and so I was really surprised it came into my dream. But like in the dream, I'm holding the stones and I'm looking at them, and they're huge and they're just so beautiful. And I'm seeing like the little specks, the fractals, the little like rainbow from the light hitting it coming through. It was such a beautiful experience. So I'm spending some time looking at these stones when I sense a familiar energy enter the space, but it was coming from an unseen realm. It wasn't materializing in the realm I was in. The energy was so uncomfortable and belonged to someone I'm currently not involved with who has caused me a lot of issues in my life. The presence never materialized at all, just hung around while I was admiring these diamonds. It made me feel really uneasy and rushed. The rest of the dream I was simply spent gazing into each of the stones and seeing their fractals while trying to ignore the negative energy present. And like just to be clear, I feel like this was a protection dream, and
Hmm.
I could feel that protection so intensely because even though that energy was there and it was an uneasy energy, it was never able to break through. It was on the outskirts. It wasn't allowed to come in. And so I just felt this like insane sense of protection.
Mm. Yeah, what came to mind too was like just you looking into the crystal, the Herkimer diamond. I felt like you were one crystal gazing. So I was like the word that came through is like gaining clarity. Um,
Ooh,
but then also when you mentioned the protection, I don't know, it's like I felt like something was like communicating with you. But it was definitely the clarity and the crystal gazing, because you mentioned the fractals and the specks. And like whenever I like looking at like I have a quartz sphere, that's like
oh,
one of the things that I like focus on
I love
and like
them.
and see what they speak to me, see if I see any patterns. And so I really feel like whatever that was, because you know how also when you focus on dreams, speaking of focus, my camera is not. Um, there can be something that's like you're receiving some sort of information. So like
Right.
you said, it could have been like a warning of something or like it was protection. So focusing in on that crystal specifically um could have brought you protection, maybe clarity about some stuff regarding that specific person, after the dream, or maybe it hasn't even been revealed yet, but it's providing you that layer, that shield for what's to come in reference to all of that.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And I do, you know what? I feel that energetic shield show up in my dreams kind of frequently as of late. Not the same way as it did in this way. But
Mm-hmm.
like for example, I had a dream where I was in, and it's so funny because I love when I have these types of dreams where it feels like the room is kind of like angled, like the walls are angled, and it's almost like a fisheye lens, like the view. It's so weird. But George and I were in this room in this house, and it didn't belong to us. I didn't recognize it. And we heard like banging at the door. And we turn around, and these police officers like storm, like break down our door and storm in. And I'm looking at them, and they walk over past us to this door frame that leads to a hallway and other rooms, and they're just staring there. They don't move. And I'm like, my energy is shifting from by the door to right behind them. And when I turn around after I'm standing behind them, when I turn around, I look into the corner and there's a dog staring there. But not like scary, like it's just there, and it
Dog or a
felt like
cat?
dog. It was
Oh,
like a gray I was like a gray pit bull, which I have a very strong connection with pit bulls. I've always had them, and they are, from my personal experience, a very protective animal.
very.
They've like always, but also like this aspect of like nanny dogs. Like they used to be called nanny dogs because they're very gentle with children. If they're raised to be
Right.
gentle animals, they're generally gentle with. I mean, like my last dog, she was a white pit bull, and I had three rats, which were about this big. And I would take Bella outside, and she would lay down on the grass, and the three rats would climb on her. And she would just like lay there and let them climb. And then when they would get off of her, she would kind of like sniff them a little and like slowly like play with them with her paw. But it was so gentle and so like delicate, and understood that they were much smaller and she had to be gentle. And so like that symbol coming up, being protective of me, but also this weird energetic fisheye lens type where there it felt like something was surrounding me, protecting me, like in that dream with the Herkimer diamond. Like that energy has been coming through, and it's very interesting because I wonder if it's me casting it myself or if it's something outside of myself.
When did you have that dream?
Uh,
Was it last
over the
week?
weekend, I think.
Okay. Because I had a dream too with the dog, and it was a protection dream. So I'm like, maybe there's a thing. Because mine was a Doberman Pinscher. And I was like coming out of a really intense, like the scene that I was coming out of was like a really intense engagement with someone. And I left that room, and I like from the room, it was like I opened the door. I don't remember being like, I just left the room and then I was walking down a street,
Mm-hmm.
and I looked, and there was like a Doberman Pinscher in the corner, in the shot, or not in the corner, but in the shadows.
Right.
I like made eye contact, and initially I felt fear.
Mm-hmm.
And because like in previous dreams, I had a lot of dreams about dogs, and it was scary. But then
Right.
I reminded myself in the dream, I was like, oh yeah, no, these are my family. And like, so then the dream went on, and it was like communicating that. Like it basically turned to Anubis.
Yeah.
Like a man with the dog head, because there was a couple of them at one point, but it was like a protection dream. So,
Right.
like, which makes sense because the thinning veil, and I've been seeing like a former teacher of mine like just uploaded a video today, and it was like a protection meditation or something like that. She's been talking about protection in the past two videos I've seen from her. I didn't watch them, but I saw them pop up on YouTube, and I'm like, okay, that's something to note for right
It
now.
is. I think it really is because that has been a theme. Like I said, like these police officers were breaking down our door and like trying to get to us, and like it felt dangerous. It felt scary. But like it's like when they got in finally, it's like their memory was wiped or something, and they just like
Uh,
became some like frozen. Like they walked over to the another door frame past us, like they couldn't even see us, and it was like they couldn't move. So it was so interesting and so intriguing. Again, there was this like energy in the dream. Like it felt like things were, I don't know, it's been a very interesting experience, and I'm really enjoying it, and I'm really enjoying diving into it. I mean, like even the dreams where like I'm peeing or something, like I can wake up from that and be like, yeah, clearly I'm holding on to things that I
right.
need to let go. I need to
Let it out.
let it out. Let it
Relieve
out.
yourself.
Yes,
Um,
exactly.
I
Let
wonder
out the toxins.
I wonder for those of you listening and watching, wow, and I'm just seeing 333 is on the back, like something as far as like the analytics. There's 333 there. So,
Woo!
just saying that, but I was gonna say, upon seeing that, as I saw that, anyone listening, let us know if like you've had any protection type dreams. It seems to be possibly like a collective theme, like something going on in the collective unconscious, and which makes sense because I mean, look at the state of the world right now, you know? Like it's a reminder from the divine that like even though there is like really scary things happening, like you are divinely protected. Stay alert, stay awake, pay attention to your surroundings, you know.
Try to be more present in the waking
Right.
space
Yeah, be more present in the waking space for
and
sure.
pay more attention to your dreams
Yeah, you
too.
and I
Like,
had that same theme too, or that same kind of message.
yeah, it's very important. I really feel like right now, especially with how intense things are, it's so important that we don't like climb kind of into a hole to hide. Like we have to
Yeah.
be here. We have to be awake and aware and moving through things and progressing and doing what we need to do because it's so easy during periods of time like this to lose hope and enjoyment and disconnect.
Yeah.
So I have one more dream that I want to share and I can run through it pretty quickly. Um and I had this on I think it was Monday night or Tuesday night. It had to be Monday night into Tuesday because I went to work today. I think I did this Tuesday. Anyway, so I dreamt I was at a convention type event to meet and greet one of my favorite actors. I was seated in front of the section of like in the front section of the folded seats that were seated in front of a stage. And I was sitting there with my jacket and my purse, and it was chilly in the house or in the convention room. And I was just kind of looking around. Of course, I noticed it was a lot of like grays and blacks and browns of like the seating and the carpeting and the stage and everything, and everybody was chit-chatting, so it was kind of like this buzzing noise around me of like a bunch of people talking at like a moderate voice level. So I got up to use the bathroom and I left my stuff on my chair. And I walked around to use the bathroom. And when I got to the back of the room, I saw that my mom and sister were there. So I went over to them and I was just talking to them about what was going on and why they were there and just, casual chit chat. And then I said I had to go back to my chair. So I didn't even get to the bathroom. Like I just like that wasn't important anymore. So I went back to my chair and I noticed that all of my things were gone, just completely gone. And so I started asking the people around, like, hey, have you seen my stuff? Did you see someone take my stuff? And people were literally just ignoring me, like not even acknowledging me. They wouldn't answer me back. When I like tried to get them to look at me, they turned their head. Like it was very frustrating. And I started to get a little panicky. So I conjured myself up to, I don't know if you have ever seen architecture like this, where like it'll be an open room. And then if you look up, it'll be like a small hallway like room with windows connected to like a second floor where like it's kind of open above you, but then there's that section that's kind of like a hallway.
Yeah.
So I conjured myself up to that little hallway up above us, and there was a woman who was disgruntled and going through luggage and like tickets and stuff like that, and she was doing everything by herself, and the energy was really like weird. And I was like, hey, look, I don't know if you saw anything or if anything was returned to you, but I had a jacket and a purse and it is gone now. And I'm really stressed out because my tickets to be at the event, my tickets to meet and greet, like they're all gone. And so is my money and my ID and like everything. And she was kind of like she reminded me of someone who would just be like nonchalant, like don't give a shit about anything,
Mhm.
smoking a cigarette and talking to like a friend on the work phone, like
Yeah.
not even
Yeah.
really doing work. And she like couldn't give a shit about what I was talking about. And then the person I was going to meet and greet showed up in that little hallway, and he was asking this woman something, and he could see I was visibly upset. And he was like, "What's going on?" And I was like, "Essentially, somebody stole all my stuff, and I was supposed to like meet and greet with you, and now I don't know what to do. My identity's gone, like my money is gone and my tickets and everything. And I'm just like very stressed out and upset. And he was like, okay, well, why don't you meet me later? Like, meet me later after the event. And I said, okay. So now I'm walking down the stairs from this little hallway down to the bottom floor, which feels kind of like a mall, like when the mall's closed.
Mhm.
And so I walk downstairs, and as I'm walking downstairs, the crowd is moving forward, and at the bottom of the stairs is my mom and sister. And so I meet up with them, and I kind of start telling them what's going on, and my mom walks away. And so it's just me and my sister, and we're walking back, and I'm expressing to her why I'm upset. And she's like, "It's gonna be okay, Lex. Like it's gonna be fine, whatever." And I'm looking around, and I'm seeing like it's so funny because if you ever play Sims and you go to like a town, the stores are in Simlish, like the names of the stores are in Simlish. So I
Mhm.
was looking at the like the dark closed stores, and the words were Simlish. So I didn't know what the stores were. And finally we get to like I get to an exit point because everybody's still walking forward, but I get to an exit point where to the right of me are like 4 or 6 doors, and kind of like a gymnasium where like there's a bunch of doors you can go through because there's a lot of people. So I say bye to my sister real quick and I open the door, and I'm hit with just this fresh, dewy, sweet grass scent.
Mm.
And it's nighttime in this other realm. It's a very earthly, very mystical, whimsical, like nature based realm. And I look back and everybody's still walking in that realm. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to go back there.
Right?
I closed the door and I'm like, I'm going to live here now, basically. So I walk in and it's nighttime. It's warm with a little bit of a crispness to the air. And again, it's that sweet, dewy smell of like post rain moss or grass or something, and it was beautiful. Like the moon, I couldn't see a moon, but there was moon glow everywhere,
Yeah.
and there were all these like bunk beds that were made from earth and moss and
Uh,
like vines and stuff. And I'm kind of walking around and I'm like touching things. It's very like sensory, very it was wonderful. It was beautiful. And then the person I was supposed to meet at the convention conjured up behind me. And I turn around and he is like in a whimsical form. So he's like little devil horns and like fangs, and it's like all black. And I don't know, it was great. Anyway, so he looks at me and then he just like goes in and starts making out with me. And like it was intense. It was fantastic. I remember so distinctly the feeling of fangs against my lips, like my lower lip. Like it was so great. And so we're making out and whatever, and we're trying to get onto one of these beds to pursue further physical expression. And everyone we get to, there's someone in it, or there's someone who interrupts, or there's something going on where
mhm.
we can't get onto the bed. And like we keep trying, and finally we get to the last bed, and like I'm kind of thrown on, and he's making out with me, and then this person is like hello, and they're like kind of like next to slash underneath us. And then the sun rises and he vanishes. And I get up and I'm wearing like this dress. And I have
The
this
same
group
outfit
of women.
from the first dream, was it, or
No, it was
different?
in the
Okay.
first part of the dream I was wearing more of like a casual outfit, but when I entered this realm, I was wearing more of a whimsical, like witchy attire.
Mm.
So I get up and I'm wearing this like attire, and I really get to like acknowledge it for the first time because when I had entered the realm, I kind of was immediately hit with this intense um um interaction.
Mhm.
And so the sun rose, the guy vanished, and there's this group of women walking up to me about my age, around little above, little low, whatever. And they're all in these whimsical, like witchy, like fairy-esque outfits, and they're talking about the cost of like wardrobes now and how it's so expensive to get new dresses and just like we're
Yeah.
talking and I merge with their group and we're walking around and it kind of feels almost um outdoor like like think of like a medieval outdoor flea market.
Mm-hmm.
And I walk like they're still talking and leaning up against like there's a couple girls who are leaning up against some stalls and like talking to each other about the cost of things. And there's like a rack of front laying dresses. So it's kind of like a flat rack rather than like a rack you would hang them on like so they're all hanging out like
Yeah.
so
So
you
you
can
can,
see the full thing.
yeah.
And I'm pulling it out and I'm looking at it and like touching the velvet because it was this like beautiful dark purpley red velvet dress with like layers and stuff.
Mm.
And then we walk past it and we start to turn a corner and I wake up.
Wow. I really feel like, well, wait, what do you feel?
I I thought it
I
was a
love the
great
glow on your face. I
because
feel
it was
honestly like
intense.
it feels like a merging of like it's like almost like you losing everything, where it's like letting go of this old identity, especially because your mom, and who else was in that one? Was it your mom or your
My
sister?
sister, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like not saying that you're obviously not losing them, but it's like your identity and like that reality and you being sister, you being daughter, and the way that they saw you or see you,
Hmm.
that feels like that's changing. And you are like the interaction with you and the guy was like, I felt like that was like it was very fantastical, but it's like that feeling, that whatever that feeling is, the essence of that, that is an aspect of you basically. Like that feeling, that essence is what you're merging into, which is like more of yourself, more of the playful, whimsical, like essence. And then it's showing like the next part of that was like what you're growing into. And I love that you're choosing your outfit because it's like, okay, like, how do I, play with this persona or this identity? How do I show up like in this new form? What am I wearing? And like, you're with these other ladies that are like in a similar vibe, and it's like really fantastical and witchy and, so that, oh my gosh, I can feel the energy from that. And it just feels really fun and free and like,
It was really freeing and like I so just to go bounce off of what you said, I feel that way. Like I literally lost my identity. But I feel like I lost an identity that I never really had. It was an identity that was forced upon me.
right.
And I feel like when I stepped into this other realm, especially when I didn't care about the other one that much,
Hmm.
like I left and I was like, whatever, like it's not for me anymore. I feel like it's like dropping of expectations, dropping of what I've always felt I had to be and had to do, even though I was never successful at it, I still was putting an effort to try. And this was like a representation of, yes, losing that identity that I never really had and stepping fully into what feels right for myself and like my even just the relating that to the waking realm and the dream realm
Hmm.
and like how they are merged for me and how like I'm kind of always in between them.
Yeah.
And so it's really interesting. It was a lot of fun. Like I loved the fun aspects of it. I loved the dresses, the attire change. I love the sexual energy. And to an extent I do feel like it's a representation of myself
Hmm.
like and what is going to be created from this new place.
And
It's just
also, oh, sorry.
no, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it also feels like that Beltane energy, like the fire, the passion,
Yes.
even like the sexual, playful energy, the
Hmm.
flirting, and the connection to nature. Like it's so, so very timely.
Yes.
You make it up.
I agree 100%.
Cool. Well, speaking of um nature spirits and everything, I'm not sharing that story. Um that comes up another time. But
Okay.
what I am going to share is, as we have been doing with the Dark Moon Dream Reflections, we've been pulling cards, and I spoke about the Fairies Oracle deck and the Nature Spirit in Dreams episode that we did was like, I think it was 2 episodes ago. But I actually still have the deck, and I was really
Yay.
excited. It was just in my basement, and so I've been pulling cards here and there. And it's funny when I posted some cards I pulled and I put them on my Instagram story. I had like 2 or 3 people reach out like that they have this deck, they love the deck, and they also hadn't used it in a long time. They're like, "Oh, I have to pull that deck out. Like this is perfect for it." So nature spirits are talking to us. So I think it was like right before you started your story when we were talking about or shared your dream, or this recent one. Forgot what exactly we were talking about. I think it was like the collective energy. And I ended up shuffling and I received 2 cards. So this one is undressing of a salad.
Ooh.
So we'll read that interpretation. And then the other one here is Penelope Dreamweaver.
Ooh. I love that because that kind of actually goes with the card that I shuffled and fell out.
Oh, okay, cool. Well,
Yeah.
I
A
had
kind of similar like imagery too, which is exciting.
well, it's like I like to have one card, but then when I saw that one was Dreamweaver, I'm like, okay, well, I'm definitely keeping that. And I was like, I feel like both are meant to be here.
Oh, for sure.
Oh. Okay, so undressing a salad. Let me pin my screen so you can see this here. All right. So undressing a salad, balance, avoiding extremes, achieving the impossible, and being impossible. So basically, I don't want to go into the whole breakdown of this, maybe another time, but it says things are in motion and the outcome is impossible to predict. A cool head is required to deal with this, as is a readiness to jump in whatever direction seems appropriate. Exercise cool judgment while staying ready for the unpredictable. Sudden changes of fortune may appear good or bad, but they are in flux and can be rechanneled if necessary. Develop poise, stay calm. You can come out a winner here, but it is likely to take concentrated effort. Use power with delicacy and discretion. So that feels
I
like the cautionary energy that been picking up.
Yep. I was like, that feels just like your dream. That
Yep.
feels like the dream of just like pay attention
Yeah.
and make sure you don't follow down the same mistaken paths of other people and your intentions and everything. Like that just feels so on point.
All right, so the next one we have here is Penelope Dreamweaver. The
Oh, that's
keywords
so
here
beautiful.
pretty. The keywords are inspiration, magical dreams, and visions. So I'm going to read a little bit of hers since it's like a dream one. Weaver of dreams, bringer of visions, muse of artistic inspiration. Penelope weaves tapestries in the mind with threads of light, color, and sound. When she comes to us in dreams, we waken under her enchantment and rush for our paints or clay or other forms of expression. Sorry, one sec. Um, let's say, hold on one sec. Sorry. These fairies and their sisters, the fairies of expression, work together as teams, helping us in our creative endeavors. The fairies of inspiration sprinkle us with special inspirational fairy dust so that we come with ideas, rather like fertilizing a plant, and you know what plants are fertilized with, Grace says. Then their sisters, the fairies of expressions, help us to give forms to our creativity, manifesting it with our own particular talents. Seek visions and inspiration. Be aware that they are often subtle and require close attention. Fantasies, dreams, and daydreams are all places of inspiration, or are all places an inspiration fairy can contact us. But she can also pop up unannounced in the midst of the most ordinary of activities in the bath, washing the dishes, driving the car, or anywhere else that our mind is half occupied and half running on idle. Pay special attention to unsought inspirations at this time. They have something wonderful to offer you, but it is up to you to catch them and bring them into reality.
Oh yeah.
Lovely.
Love that. I love that aspect too of not only embracing the dream, but like using it as inspiration in your waking space and using it to drive you forward and bring more clarity to your path.
I love that pay attention was pretty much echoed at least twice in the
Mm,
interpretation. And that was another one where it's like, pay attention. And dreams are going to be really like communicative at this point.
yep. 100%. Oh, what a wonderful reading. So I only shuffled for a few seconds and this popped out immediately. The lifting veil, aka the high
I,
priestess. Yep.
yes. Perfect.
I'll leave this up while I read too. All right, so the lifting veil. What's hidden invites you, yet guards its mysteries well. The veil is the liminal space, the in between. What you seek hides not from sight, but from understanding. Lift it and transcend. Keep it and dwell in the mysterious bliss. Lunar tides shimmer in the eyes of the veil as she parts the gossamer curtain, revealing glimpses of ancient slumbering truths. Virgo's discernment guides her steps through the liminal space between worlds where the waters of intuition ebb and flow. The keywords for this are intuition, mystery, and sacred knowledge.
Mm,
As the magus manifests external realities, the lifting veil beckons inward to the oracle of secrets and the soul. Heed the whispers rising from still waters and dreams. Silence is a sanctuary, allowing the unconscious to yield its enigmatic treasures.
mm. Wow. I feel like that speaks to, of course, the thinning veil. And also like what I've been feeling as far as like this boundary, like something's dissolving. And clarity has been something that I've been really asking for like weeks, honestly. And I've been receiving the clarity, but also I guess I'm not as clear, or I'm not like, maybe it's giving me a heads up too that something is coming, and pay attention to that, so I don't miss it. Well, I don't think I would miss it, but you get what I'm saying.
Well, it's interesting you say that because I have had situations that have been very difficult. And before I approached the situation, I pulled cards.
Hmm.
And for one particular situation, I four cards bounced out of the deck. And it was very precise, important steps to take to deal with this situation.
Wow.
I had the clarity and I didn't sit with it and I didn't follow it. And what came through when I had the experience was completely fucked up because I didn't take on the advice and that the clarity
Yeah.
brought from the cards. So I feel like it's not just a clarity, but a call to trust and to put
Trust in the,
your,
yeah.
yeah, like listen to the lessons, listen to the guidance, listen to the guidance. Don't bypass it. Listen, take the advice and move forward with the advice given.
Yeah, I think we talked about this. Maybe I've had so many conversations. I don't know if it was in our last live or not, but like how important it is to take action. Like,
Yeah.
because we were talking about the dreams as guidance. And that goes for like tarot and all of that too. Like it's important to, we hear the message, we journal, we reflect, but then also we have to balance that like feminine energy with the masculine and taking action, because that's how we like make the changes or acquire like what it is we're desiring to, and then we'll receive more messages. But again, like today I was having a separate conversation where they were getting the same message and the same message, and they felt like, okay, am I being too reliant on tarot right now, because it's like feel kind of stuck, and it's like, but are you acting on the message? And sometimes it's good to take a pause, like you have
It
to trust
is.
what's coming through, and then once you start to act, you'll see that change in your readings. But if you're getting the same message or seeing the same cards over and over and over again, there's something that you're not really like seeing. So,
Oh, for sure. And I definitely have a habit of being extremely resistant. And we talked about this last week with Warmind. about how like I was saying like if you try to force something on me, I go in the opposite direction. Like
Yeah.
I can't help it. Like I there's such a like restriction towards certain things. And I feel like sometimes I have that mindset with the tarot as well.
Yeah.
Like you're forcing me to confront certain things in a certain way, and I'm like,
I
and then
got
I learned my lesson. And then I have to
You're
learn
like,
my
oh shoot.
lesson.
Because it also, that's, if anything, it's coming from you. Like the tarot is
Yeah.
reflecting, what's going on internally, or like what's like the energy around you, but it's all coming from you. And that's why I always say it's really important when, um, like with people, I'm like, really get clear of who you're communicating with when you're doing tarot, when you're doing like dream work, and like it'll change, like,
Yeah.
it could change in one day, but just being clear, of what it is or who it is that you're communicating with. And nine times out of 10, it's generally always my inner being or my
Right.
higher self, or sometimes it's
Same.
like my spirit team. So, and I'll directly ask my spirit team like for guidance, and then I'll pull cards. Like I've been very like I
Right.
just
Right.
pull. So, it takes time.
Yeah, for me, it's definitely my higher self, my higher being, and then like the universe.
Yeah.
Just like being a part of that collective, like everything.
Mhm.
Um, but like it really like I can be so resistant against doing things that are good for me just because I want it too much. Like there
Yeah.
it feel like it's so silly, and
Yeah.
I'm look, we're all on our individual journeys trying to figure
We'll
out
get
how to
there. We're gonna
navigate
get there.
things.
Right. We're all on our little roller coasters of
Exactly, exactly. Hopefully we don't get arrested at the
yeah,
top.
we're not getting arrested. We're not doing that. But anyways, this was great. Happy new moon, Alexis.
Happy
I
new
know I'll talk to you
moon.
before that, but happy new moon, everyone listening. We will be back next week. I believe we're doing another tarot and dreams next week, I believe.
I
Um,
believe so.
but yeah, I think
I
that's
believe.
schedule that. I believe. But if not, it's going to be a juicy topic whatsoever. So
Right.
stay tuned, everyone, and have sweet dreams.
Sweet dreams.